For decades, Windows has been the unquestioned center of Microsoft's identity. It was the operating system that defined personal computing, the platform that powered offices, schools, gaming rigs, and enterprise infrastructure around the world. Entire generations learned what a computer was through the Windows Start menu, the taskbar, and the familiar blue era screens that became a strange cultural icon. Linux, on the other hand, lived in the background, running servers, powering the internet, and quietly shaping the modern digital world without ever becoming the dominant desktop experience. For most people, these two worlds were separate, almost opposites. Windows was polished, commercial, and closed, while Linux was free, community-driven, and famously difficult for beginners. But now, something strange is happening. Microsoft is no longer treating Linux as a rival. Instead, it is embracing it, integrating it, and in some cases, putting it at the very core of its strategy. And that shift has led to a question that would have sounded absurd just a decade ago. Could Microsoft's new Linux mode eventually kill Windows forever? To understand why this question is even being asked, we need to look at how Microsoft's relationship with Linux has evolved. In the early 2000s, Microsoft openly treated Linux as an enemy. Executives called it a cancer, lawsuits were threatened, and the company's entire business model was built around selling Windows licenses. Back then, the idea of Microsoft shipping Linux tools, contributing to the Linux kernel, or encouraging developers to use open source software would have been unthinkable. Yet over Chimney, the computing landscape changed. The rise of the internet, cloud computing, mobile devices, and containers slowly eroded the importance of the traditional desktop operating system. People stopped caring as much about what OS they were running and started caring more about what apps, services, and platforms they could access. As this shift happened, Linux quietly became the backbone of modern computing. Almost every major website runs on Linux servers. Android, the world's most popular operating system by user count, is built on the Linux kernel. Cloud platforms, including Microsoft's own Azure, rely heavily on Linux to function at scale. Developers grew up using Linux tools, Linux servers, and Linux-based workflows, even if they still ran Windows on their personal machines. Microsoft saw this change and made a choice that shocked many observers. Instead of fighting Linux, it decided to join it. The first major signal was the introduction of the Windows subsystem for Linux. Often called WSL, at first WSL seemed like a niche feature aimed at developers. It allowed Linux command line tools to run directly on Windows without the need for a virtual machine. Over time, it evolved into something far more powerful. WSL2 introduced a real Linux kernel running under the hood, offering near-native performance and full compatibility. Suddenly, Windows wasn't just hosting Linux tools. It was literally running Linux as a core component. For developers, this was a dream. They could use Bash, apt, Docker, and all their favorite Linux utilities without leaving Windows. But from a strategic perspective, this move was even more significant. Microsoft was teaching millions of users that Linux was not scary, not foreign, and not incompatible with their daily work. At the same time, Microsoft began contributing heavily to open source projects. It became one of the largest contributors to the Linux kernel. Visual Studio Code, one of the most popular code editors in the world, was released as open source and became deeply integrated with Linux work. GitHub, the central hub of open source development, was acquired by Microsoft and surprisingly allowed to remain relatively independent. These were not the actions of a company that saw Linux as a threat. They were the actions of a company that saw Linux as inevitable. Now, fast forward to the present idea of a so-called Linux mode inside Windows. While the exact branding and implementation may vary, the concept is clear. Instead of Windows being a completely separate operating system that occasionally hosts Linux tools, it becomes a flexible shell that can switch into a Linux-first environment. Imagine booting your PC and choosing a mode where the desktop, the system, services, and the application layer are all powered by Linux, while still retaining access to Microsoft's ecosystem, services, and compatibility layers. In this scenario, Windows stops being a traditional operating system and starts behaving more like a compatibility layer, a management interface, or even just a brand. This is where things get existential for Windows itself. If users can run Linux applications natively, access Linux package managers, use Linux-based development environments, and still run legacy Windows software when needed. What is Windows actually adding to the equation? Historically, Windows value came from exclusive software, broad hardware support, and ease of use. But Linux has been rapidly closing those gaps. Hardware support on Linux has improved dramatically, especially with contributions from major vendors. User-friendly distributions now offer graphical installers, polished desktops, and app stores that rival Windows in convenience. Gaming, once Windows' strongest advantage, has seen a massive shift thanks to tools like Proton and Steam's investment in Linux compatibility. Microsoft is fully aware of these trends. By introducing a Linux mode, it may be trying to ensure that it remains relevant no matter which operating system paradigm wins. If the future belongs to Linux, Microsoft wants to be there, controlling the user experience, the developer tools, and the cloud integration. From a business perspective, this makes perfect sense. Microsoft no longer makes most of its money from Windows licenses. Its revenue comes from cloud services, subscriptions, enterprise tools, and developer platforms. In that context, Windows is no longer the product. It is a vehicle to deliver services. The danger, however, is that by making Linux a first-class citizen, Microsoft could be accelerating the decline of Windows itself. Once users become comfortable in a Linux environment, the psychological barrier disappears. They stop seeing Linux as an alternative and start seeing it as normal. Developers who spend most of their time in Linux shells begin to question why they need Windows at all. Students who learn programming in Linux-based environments may never develop an attachment to Windows. Enterprises that already deploy Linux servers might realize that standardizing on Linux desktops reduces costs and complexity. A Linux mode also undermines one of Windows' last remaining advantages: lock-in. If Windows is essentially running Linux under the hood and providing compatibility layers for different applications, switching away becomes easier, not harder. Users can gradually migrate their workflows, replacing Windows-specific tools with cross-platform or Linux-native alternatives. Over time, the need for Windows shrinks until it becomes optional. There's also a cultural aspect to consider. Linux represents freedom, customization, and community-driven development. Windows represents control, standardization, and corporate oversight. By merging these worlds, Microsoft risks diluting the identity of Windows. If Windows feels like Linux with a Microsoft logo, then the logo becomes the only difference, and logos alone are not enough to sustain an operating system's dominance. Another factor is performance and efficiency. Linux is widely praised for its lightweight nature, stability, and scalability. As hardware trends move toward efficiency, battery life, and modular computing, Linux's design philosophy becomes increasingly attractive. If Microsoft allows Linux to handle more of the core system tasks, users may start to notice that their machines run cooler, faster, and more reliably in Linux mode. Once that comparison is made, it becomes hard to justify going back to a heavier, more complex Windows environment unless absolutely necessary. Security is another critical angle. Linux has a strong reputation for security, not because it is invulnerable, but because of its transparency and rapid patching culture in a world of constant cyber threats, ransomware, and zero-day exploits. Enterprises and governments are looking for systems they can audit, customize, and control. A Linux-based environment offers that flexibility. If Microsoft's Linux mode provides enterprises-grade support and integration, it could become more attractive than traditional Windows deployments, especially in sensitive sectors. Ironically, Microsoft's move toward Linux could also empower competitors. Once Linux workflows become mainstream on Windows machines, users may realize that they can get the same experience without Microsoft at all. They might switch to a pure Linux distribution, gaining even more control and eliminating proprietary layers. In that sense, Microsoft could be training its own replacement. This doesn't mean Windows will disappear overnight. Legacy software, enterprise contracts, and user familiarity ensure that Windows will remain relevant for years to come. But relevance is not the same as dominance. The future of computing is increasingly platform-agnostic. Applications run in browsers, containers, and virtual environments. Operating systems become interchangeable foundations rather than defining experiences. In such a future, Windows' traditional role fades. What makes the situation truly fascinating is that Microsoft seems comfortable with this outcome. The company has reinvented itself multiple times, from a desktop software giant to a cloud-first service-driven enterprise. If Windows slowly transforms into a Linux-powered platform that exists mainly to funnel users into Microsoft's ecosystem, that may be considered a success internally. From the user's perspective, however, it could feel like the end of an era. The idea that Microsoft's own Linux mode could kill Windows forever is not about sabotage or failure. It is about evolution. By embracing Linux so deeply, Microsoft is acknowledging that the old model of operating system dominance no longer works. Control has shifted from the O's to the ecosystem, and in that shift, Windows as we know it may not survive. In the end, the question is not whether Windows will die, but whether it will matter. If Linux becomes the foundation of the Windows experience, then the distinction between Windows and Linux blurs until it becomes meaningless. At that point, Windows is no longer an operating system in the traditional sense. It is a brand, a compatibility layer, and a service gateway. And when an operating system reaches that stage, it has already lost the war it once dominated. So when people ask whether Microsoft's new Linux mode could kill Windows forever, the answer is both yes and no. Yes, it could end Windows as a standalone dominant operating system. And no, because Microsoft doesn't need Windows to survive in the way it once did. The real winner in this story is Linux, which has gone from an outsider to the silent core of modern computing. And the real lesson is that in technology, even the most powerful empires eventually adapt, merge, or fade away. Windows may not vanish, but the Windows we grew up with is already becoming a memory, quietly replaced by something far more open, flexible, and fundamentally Linux at heart.